I've also learned that basically when you hit
Alright.
start streaming, it actually starts streaming like right then, but it doesn't tell you about it.
That's a little weird,
Oh,
but
yeah,
okay.
it pretty much does.
Yeah, and
I
so
uh I
I'll.
started recording.
Oh yeah, crap! I gotta do that too.
Oh shit, yeah. Where's there it is. Okay.
Okay, great. Um,
And recording. Yes. Okay.
can one of you hooligans be listening to the audios while I do the intro?
Sure.
Okay,
Hold on. I have to find our fucking.
we're live. This is not. This is
How you got get it? Okay, there we are.
all right.
We sound okay?
I don't know. Okay, well, hey everyone, this is Vajosh Raptor with Random Respawn, and welcome to another week of our podcast. And on this week, we'll be talking about our favorite and worst games of 2017. It's, I guess, a little late for this, but we had Christmas and then New Year's, so give us a break. Over here to my, I guess it's technically my right, but your left, if you're watching the screen, is Grand Marshal.
Hey everybody.
And then the opposite side is Calebite.
Hello.
And that's about it. Okay, so who wants to go first?
Not I.
Okay, I will go first. And this is hello, Christopher. This is a game that was released prior to 2017, and it came out on the PC, but it came out with a buddy kind of around the same time, so I'm counting it as one game. And that is Vanquish and Bayonetta.
Nice. I was hoping it would be on somebody's list.
Yeah,
And by
yeah.
somebody, I mean mine or yours.
I thought you were gonna jump in because especially when you were talking about games that were you were like, what if it was on a console in 2010 and then released on PC in 2017 and has a potential third game coming out to the Switch in 2018? And I was like, oh, that's a very specific description that
That's very specific.
right.
Bayonetta's up there. I'll scratch that one from my list since
Right,
you
and
mentioned
but
it.
since they're both platinum games, I figured I could count both of them as the same one.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah,
that's
fair.
not allowed, that's okay. So that was, I would say that's my number 5 spot. So I'll work my way up the list.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
That works for me.
Before I go any further, Christopher, this is mostly for you, I think, and the 6 other people. Oh, 6 other people watching. Sweet. Okay.
Hey everybody.
We had to have played the game, so we just can't say Battlefront 2, even though we all know that that would be all of our favorites. None of us purchased it.
Oh. Oh yeah.
So
totally.
you
Yeah.
had to have played it, and if it was released in a previous year but re-released in a new console or even had a new HD version, that is allowed. So those are the only 2 rules. So Marshall can't say Warframe is basically
Damn
why
it.
we made those rules.
I know. I put so much time into that game.
I
It's sad.
I know you did. I know.
Hold on, just for everyone's sake, I according to Steam, I put in
Again,
564 hours.
I did the math last time, and
I
it's
know,
disgusting.
I know.
Okay,
For the people who didn't watch the last one.
right, absolutely. So,
Mm.
okay, after that, who wants to go next?
I can go next. I know Caleb has been streaming it recently, and I just got back into it because of it. Dead Cells. I believe it came out
Yeah.
early access in March, and it kind of just came out of nowhere, and everyone's like, this is kind of awesome. And it's basically a Metroidvania, but it's a roguelike at the same time. And it's got a really cool art style, and I keep enjoying it so much every time I boot it up. It's awesome.
It is so good. That is definitely one of my top 5 for 2017. It's so fun. And the new updates that they've added to it are significant. Like they've really added a bunch of stuff.
They're
to
doing a
Dead Cells.
very good job with that game. Like
Yeah,
no joke.
they've had
And
5 major updates so far, and I mean, and they're not done. It's so good. It's changed the game really, really significantly. And I had to kind of like relearn how to play, and it's fun because I'd unlocked all of the weapons before all the like Foundry and Elemental and all those updates. But now I have a bunch of other things to go hunt and up and unlock again.
yeah.
Um, so it's really cool.
Did you
I'm
ever
really
like
enjoying
beat it, like get through a full run?
it. No.
Neither have I.
Wait, like, what do you mean, like a full like? You
As
didn't-
in, like, you can
There's a final
literally
boss.
There's a
Oh.
final boss and all that stuff. Yeah.
you guys haven't beaten the final boss?
No.
I've made it to the last. I've made it like to the last world, but I
What
haven't
is the
beaten the
last
final
one?
boss.
Do you know?
Your
I don't know what
mother's
it is now.
bedroom. Oh,
They've added new stuff. They have like the clock tower and stuff like that now.
I don't
I
think
don't
I've
know
ever been
what
in
the
the clock
final
tower.
world is.
Yeah, and all that. Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
used to be right after the fog fjords was the final world, but they've added like 2 or 3 more levels.
Okay, that makes more sense now. All right, cool. All
all right.
I guess that's mine. Caleb.
I don't know if I can technically count this, but
Oh, are you gonna be the
we'll
first one to
see.
break the rule?
we'll see.
He breaks the rule.
Um,
I'm
Yeah, Warframe. Warframe is
So,
coming
let
right
me-
up.
let-
Yeah.
So,
Is
I
this
guess
worth
I'll-
Marshall mentioning Warframe? Is it worth it?
oh God,
It's fine. I won't. I'll let
I
it
put
slide
so
this
much
time.
time into it though.
Oh,
Darkest
you're gonna say
Dungeon, Crimson Court DLC.
Okay.
Okay, well that does
counts.
count because that
That counts. That
a
was in the
D-
DLC.
a DLC will count.
This is a
was
major
mostly just
DLC, and
Darkest
I didn't
Dungeon.
play the game beforehand.
Yeah.
And I just got into it in 2017 after the Crimson Court DLC released, and I just want to talk about this game first. I don't know that I would say this is 4 below or even like 1 or 2 below the other games on my list, except for my number 1. Like the only one that I'm for sure on is
Is
my
number one.
and everything else is like, yeah, okay, it's not number 1, but it was a really good game in 2017. But yeah, Darkest Dungeon was my kind of surprise hit because
It
I'd
was
seen it
so
before
good.
and I'd seen people play it, and
I introduced you,
you know,
to it.
Marshall
Like,
had
dude,
talked-
you're
yeah,
going to love
yeah,
it.
exactly. Marshall had told me
Please,
that. And he's
just
like, oh,
play
hey,
it.
play this. And I was like, I don't know. It seems like it's not something I would really enjoy, but holy crap, was I wrong? It was so good.
I lost you for weeks.
Oh
Like,
man, yeah.
you did not want to play anything else but that, and I was like, oh man, what have I done?
It's so good.
No.
It's
Yeah,
so
it's
good.
it
So good.
was it really really well done. I love everything about that game. So that one's got to be on my list for
Mhm.
2017.
With that said, I will actually say that my top 5 is in order.
Okay.
Right. Just so I did like these in this order. So should we go like so I only have 3 least favorite games of 2017. Because I thought that was a good number to have, but should we alternate or should we just do top 5 and then bottom whatever?
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean,
It's
I'd say
just
don't
whatever.
don't go from like top to bottom.
Okay.
I'd say, like do your top 5 and then do your bottom 3.
Okay. So coming in 4th place is Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
Oh, that made your
Yeah.
top 5. Wow.
Yeah, I put a lot of hours into that game, and
Surprised.
I never knew you as an XCOM fan.
oh, I love the first XCOM.
Did you ever play the second one?
Nope, because the first one made me so angry.
That'll do it.
And
Yep.
this one at times it's pretty funny. It looks amazing, and it's just there is actual strategy involved, which was kind of nice. Don't get me wrong. Like Mario games can be extremely difficult. I don't know why I'm saying that they're not, but yeah, I really enjoyed the strategy in it. The characters are really pretty funny. It wasn't insanely long. Like there were a couple quirks with it, but it was I just put a lot of hours into it, and it didn't feel like a drag. It was actually pretty fun. So that is why that is number 4.
Nice.
Something just moved behind you.
No, that's my puppy.
Oh, okay.
Wanted to jump up and say hi.
Before we get to
That's
the
what I'm
next
doing.
thing, Marshall paid a photographer to take pictures of his dog and put them on his Christmas card.
Yep. It wasn't my idea. It was my girlfriend's idea.
I got the card, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the thought was very nice. Okay,
Back at you.
all right. Marsh, you're back.
My list really isn't in any order whatsoever. But I made a video on this a little while back, I believe in October. It's a horror game. I guess, yeah, it's technically a horror game. It's called Darkwood. It had been in a playable state in early access since like 2014, and it was pretty cool for what it was back then, but it had a lot of work to do. Um, then it finally released, actually like finished and over and done with back in August of this year, and it's been a really really cool game. It's a top-down game where you're in this like forest trying to survive in like this Eastern European hellhole that's being enveloped by like a plague or something, and you have to go scavenge for resources and then survive the night in a house, and some stuff will start coming at you like as the nights go on. It's pretty intense. But the best part about it is that the developers, as Wizard Studios, they're like a three-man team, and they actually have their own torrent of the game that you can just download for free and play. Like it's the entire game, and it's simply because like they firmly believe it's like they don't like the idea of like paywalls and stuff like that, and they know like for a lot of people out there, it's like scrounging up cash can be a little difficult. So it's like they say, play the game. If you like it, maybe send something our way if you can. But if you can't, I mean, thanks just for giving the time. And for that, I consider that one of the best games of this year.
You actually did a video about it, correct?
Yep,
So
I did say that.
if you guys, just to reiterate, Marshall's video is really good. So if you want to check it out, it is on our channel because it is a video that he did.
Yep. Cool game.
Cool game.
Spooky.
Cool game. Spooky.
That is a
Spooky. Cool
fact.
game. Yeah.
Next on my list would probably be The Surge. Um,
Oh, that's
I
right.
had no desire to play The Surge.
I enjoyed it, honestly. I mean, is it the best?
I mean, I made your list. I hope you did. I hated this game,
yeah,
which is why
is
it's
it-
at number
is it-
4.
Exactly. Definitely not the best Souls like, but I mean, honestly, it's one of the better
Yeah.
Souls like games of like the AAA kind of quality. Because I mean, there's lots of games that take Dark Souls mechanics and take different spins on them, but this felt the most like they really wanted a game designed like another Dark Souls game in a progression sense, but they really changed how combat works and how how you think about encounters, and still kept that fear of literally any enemy I come across can just wreck my face.
Oh yeah, especially this game. No joke.
Yeah, and I liked that. I mean, but the combat was really fast, and once you got used to some of the nuance of it, you can get better at taking on certain enemies or taking certain risks, and it was really satisfying to just beat people over the head with your large forklift arms and stuff like that. So I had a lot of fun with it. I beat the whole game, which is something I don't normally do with like a full AAA title. I don't often get to the end anymore, but I did with that one, and so it has to make the list.
I never actually finished that.
Yeah, see,
I got close, but I actually never.
it was good. I
completed
mean, the final boss was good. The story was really intriguing up until the very end.
I was told that the story was only interesting until the first cutscene was over, and then that was about it.
Well, okay, so like the story,
Because he starts off in a wheelchair, and then he's not so wheelchaired
Yes.
anymore, and then that was kind of it.
Yeah.
yes, I guess like kind of the what's going on with this place and like what's actually happening in the world, and like what's kind of the not so much it's hard to say, but like not the story, but kind of the lore just outside of the immediate story of like what the world building, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Like the world building of it all was really interesting until the very final boss, and it's just like, oh, this is stupid. But up until that point, I was like, oh man, this is so awesome. Everything's like creepy, and what's going on here? Like, what is this stuff? And then you get to the end, and just like, oh, that was really disappointing. But the game was fun. I thought it was fun.
Cool.
Cool.
All right, so number 3 is Super Mario Odyssey.
Is what?
Super Mario Odyssey, the
You know that game.
the
I just didn't
Mario
hear you.
Odyssey. Oh yeah, No, it's absolutely excellent, fantastic in every single way. Um, it's just phenomenal. And there are like I was standing on a bench, and then Mario just sits down, and then the guy next to me starts talking. He's like, a lot of people don't sit down on benches anymore, or something like that. And then he gives you a little power star, and you're like, wow, you can get these in the craziest places. And um, I mean, it's just, I mean, most of the Mario games are like pretty off the wall. I mean, even especially Galaxy, because the gravity thing was super cool. But I mean, taking over. Oh man, have you? Okay. Um, Hi, Tux Gamer 123. Thanks. Um, so my big thing is like I don't want to spoil the ending because the final boss fight in Super Mario Odyssey was so cool. Um, it was just everything that you'd hope it would be, and it just left a great feeling. And the music is so good, and then the mix between 2D and 3D, and the costumes, and really everything. They packed this game with so many things, and I have 500. I basically have 500 stars, and you have to get 500 just to open up the final level called Darker Side of the Moon. And it's like the hardest level ever. It's just like one super duper long hard level, and it's great.
Yeah. Nice.
Yep. But yeah, so that was number 3 for me.
Nice.
Very cool. All right, I guess it's back to me.
Yep.
Yep.
Prey, which I believe came out in May of this year. Originally, this was supposed to be back in the day the uber cool space cop bounty hunter game that was based off of the original universe of the first Prey, which you were a Native American on a ship that got attacked. Dog, no, give me that. It's mine. No. Give me that. No, you can't squeak that. Hold on. Sorry, guys. But that went through development hell and it never showed up. But what we got instead was basically a completely different game, which kind of is in the vein of like System Shock 2 and or BioShock. And I consider
It was very much more Bioshock.
Yeah.
Very much so.
But the same guys did BioShock as did System Shock 2. So was it Ken Levine or whatever?
Yeah, I believe it was. Yeah. Honestly, I consider it a better version of BioShock than BioShock Infinite. In terms of like what it wanted to do, because BioShock Infinite for me, like it was very.
You didn't like it.
I did not like it at all.
Yeah.
But I like when I was playing Prey, I was like, this feels like what BioShock should have done. In terms of like the combat and stuff like that. Like I felt like there was a lot more to it there than BioShock Infinite. And so yeah, that's just one of the games I like this year.
It sounds good to me. I still need to pick it up. It's on my wish list. When it drops to a reasonable price, I'll definitely pick it up because I was interested in it, and that description makes me really want to play it because that's what I was hoping it was going to be. When I couldn't get Space Bounty Hunters, I felt like a new BioShock type experience was something that I wanted.
If you were looking for a BioShock experience, definitely pick that one up.
Or BioShock.
Or BioShock. Well, I have played BioShock.
Yeah.
BioShock 2.
No.
Beat all the BioShocks. Let's see. So next on my list is from here on, it's kind of interesting because I didn't put a whole lot of time into many games in 2017. I was looking at, or at least games that released in 2017. I put a whole bunch of time into a couple of them, and then like some time in some other ones, but I still really enjoyed them. And one of those is Nex Machina, and it's very. I'm gonna mention that and put it on my list because it's very different from any of the other games that we're gonna talk about, and usually even games that I play. Nex Machina is a very much an arcade game. It's a top-down bullet hell-esque shooter, and it's kind of like what was the
Geometry Wars?
Geometry Wars.
kind of Geometry Wars.
It's
It
just
kind of
very
has a
colorful,
Geometry
yeah.
Wars look to it anyway.
That was the hardest game to watch as you streamed it, just because
So
it was so
hard- it's hard
colorful
to-
and
yeah.
explodey, so it's hard to follow along. But also, it was
There's a
super
lot going
pixely.
on.
It's just because it just can't encode
Yeah.
fast enough. It's like, how do I encode giant purple starbursts?
Yeah, all the voxels and everything. It's
yeah.
it is a truly beautiful game to look at, but it takes my eyes a few minutes to get adjusted to like what I need to be focusing on to actually even be able to play the game. But it's so well done, and the levels are all crafted really well. All the weapons are useful and interesting. There's tons of hidden little like secrets or bonus points and leaderboards and things like that. The only disappointment with the game is there isn't, if you don't love grabbing for score and like trying to get higher up on the leaderboard and things like that, then there isn't a whole lot of replay value because it isn't procedurally generated or anything like that, and there aren't a whole bunch of different game modes. Like there's some challenge mode things and harder difficulties for just the main like campaign playthrough, but that's kind of about it. But it's a smaller title, and it's really well done, so I have to give it a shout out.
Cool.
It is. It is. So number 2, I think you guys will be surprised at number 2, because I think you'd thought it would be number 1.
Splatoon 2.
Oh, should have added that to the list.
I'm surprised.
No. So number
I'm actually
2
shocked, yeah.
is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild as
Mhm.
number 2.
God forbid.
I don't know really. I mean, I feel like there's already been enough praise about the game. The fact that almost I feel like on a daily basis people are still finding out new ways that you could do things in the game and go, oh, that makes sense, that you can do that. I'm surprised that you can do that. It just is a testament of how long they spent perfecting that game's engine, and really the possibilities of that game are it's just insane. It's an incredible game. It absolutely deserves to be number 1, but in a different year it would have been, but this year it was not. So that is my number 2. And also, I mean, like, not just that the game was amazing, but it also really helped our channel, which is like really cool too.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the reasons why we have now 21,000 subscribers. Which,
blows my mind.
Yeah, wow. Thanks, Zelda.
Yeah. And weekly we have more active watching people than we did per single episode for like months at a time for the podcast. So it's a lot of it is thanks to Breath of the Wild and Corey.
Mostly Corey.
Mostly Corey. And Breath of the Wild.
Him and his love for that game know no bounds.
It's an absolutely phenomenal game. And it deserves number 1. But this year, there's just a different game that I liked a little bit more.
All right.
Yeah.
I guess it's on to me then. I only really have one more game.
Wait. Is this going to be your number 1? Because I figured we should all guess what we think each other's number 1 will be.
Well, I'm not allowed to say my number 1 because
your number 1 is Warframe, right? But
well, yeah, but I mean, I enjoyed the Surge, which Caleb already talked about. That's another game I really put a lot of time in this year. Another game which I keep coming back to every now and then is Middle Earth: Shadow of War.
I was going to say Horizon Zero Dawn.
You know, I never went back to that game.
Yeah,
like, I played a good bit of it, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm done. It was kind of by the numbers. It was nice to look at and all that, but I'm just like, it's okay. I would still recommend the game if you're interested in an open world game set in like the post-apocalypse where robots roam the land like dinosaurs. But for Middle Earth: Shadow of War, it's been weird because I've done a lot of content for it on the channel, and then when it came out, it was just like
it was not what we wanted.
It's not that it's not what we wanted. It was just there was stuff in it that just kind of dragged everything down, aka the loot boxes, which is a big thing that's been going on right now, especially thanks to EA and Battlefront 2. But it's just one of those games that I just keep going back to every now and then, play a couple hours just to dick around in it, because it's just I enjoy doing that in that game, because you are basically a big badass, And I have zero interest in buying any loot boxes for that game because why the hell would you? I mean, sure, when you get to the end game part of it, where you have to then deal with a bunch of sieges that are ever increasing in difficulty by exorbitant amount of levels, then maybe you'd have to worry about loot boxes. But I mean, even still, I probably wouldn't really care a whole lot. So I guess, yeah, that's going to be one of my favorite games of this year.
All right. Nice.
Even with loot boxes.
That
But
actually,
Yes.
it surprised me. I was very surprised by that one, actually.
I mean,
Yeah,
because
that,
it's like if I don't purchase them, it's like I don't really care about them. Who cares? It's just I'm still playing the game. I'm still kicking the crap out of all the orcs and finding cool captains to take over. You know, it's more of Shadow of Mordor for me. Really.
You are mine.
No, yep, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's not loot boxes that impede your gameplay, like the game isn't
Battlefront 2, yeah.
extremely grindy because there are loot boxes, then yeah, you just don't buy them.
Yeah, it only really gets grinding until you hit the very end for the last bit of story, and I mean, it's just if you really care about it, just watch it on YouTube, like
All right, Caleb,
Anyway,
you're number 2.
My next one that is not on the top is going to be the Mega Man Legacy Collection 2.
God,
Because that has Mega Man 7, 8, 9, and 10. And I don't like Mega Man 7. I don't like Mega Man 8. I
You-
kind of like Mega Man 10. Mega Man
You
9 is my
love-
favorite fucking Mega Man of all time.
I know.
So
You told me to play it,
Mega
and
Man
I
Legacy 2
hated it.
Collection coming to Steam was so awesome. I was like, yes, I can play Mega Man 9 on my PC. I don't have to dig out my
Woo!
360 just to be able to play Mega Man 9. So I was so excited by that. And a lot of people, to be fair, a lot of people love Mega Man 7 because it was very different than the other classic Mega Man games and had some interesting mechanics. I personally didn't have a Super Nintendo, and that was the first system that made this, or the first Mega Man game that made the switch over to Super Nintendo. So I didn't, and it changed the graphics style, and it tried to continue being an original Mega Man title with like bigger characters, and I just didn't like the feel of it all. But I know a lot of people, it's like one of the cult classics and most argued classic Mega Man, if it's like good or not. But I personally didn't really enjoy it. I actually liked Mega Man 8 more than Mega Man 7, which will probably get me burned at the stake by a lot of
And
people.
we just lost a viewer. Just
and they're all
Exactly.
gone.
All of them have
Because
just
I had a
left.
PlayStation 1 when I was
Yep.
younger, and so I played Mega Man 8 a lot.
You're now
and
losing
got used to it.
subscribers.
Just
by
got-
hundreds.
it's like the Stockholm syndrome. But Mega Man 9 is fantastic. Great soundtrack, great bosses, everything about it. So Mega Man Legacy Collection 2, available on Steam now.
All right. So now number 1. You each get one guess to guess my number 1.
Oh, only one guess?
It's not Breath of the Wild, and it's not
It's not Mario Odyssey. It's not
Puyo
Breath of
Puyo
the Wild.
Tetris.
Oh, yeah.
I
Is
play
it?
that. It's not. It's not.
it.
But it is
Was it a good
awesome.
guess?
Oh, that's a great guess. That is a phenomenal game. But it's just, oh my god, the game. So I put so many hours into that
Is
game.
it on the Switch?
No.
It can't be on the Switch because the only other games he has on the Switch are
It's
Breath
more
of the
for him,
Wild.
no?
No,
And,
I also have Stardew Valley, which is the first time I ever played. Stardew Valley is really good.
Oh,
The newest Mario
okay.
Kart is phenomenal. I mean, like, I've been, Arms isn't great, but it's not bad. So it's Puyo Puyo Tetris was. I mean, also Stardew Valley and Mario Kart, all really, really phenomenal games. But it is not on the Switch. My number 1 spot.
Then I have no idea.
If you take
Oh,
my number 1 spot,
It's
I'm
not
gonna be angry.
Overwatch because Overwatch came out last.
Yeah, it's not Overwatch and Rocket League. I think I put the most hours into this year, despite them not coming out in 2017.
That's all I
If you
ever see
played-
play on Discord, and you never talk to me ever, and I hate it.
If you'd
Sure,
played Rocket League on the
one
Switch, you
person.
could have added it. To
Oh
your
my
list.
god, I didn't even think about that. No, I don't have it for the Switch. All right, so it's you guys ready?
Yeah, what is it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Snipperclips?
I'm gonna shout it, so I'm gonna back up.
Oh my
I'm gonna
god.
shout it.
Yeah, it's the only way. Whenever I play this game, it's like the first thing you hear. All right, ready? I'm gonna shout it. Persona!
Got it.
Oh my
I got it right before you yelled it.
I did shout it. I told you I was going to shout it. Yeah.
I got it right before you yelled it. I was like, oh wait, no, it's Persona 5.
It is. It's Persona 5.
Best soundtrack ever.
Oh my god, the soundtrack is so good.
Oh, I really do need to pick up that game. Holy crap.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Oh.
I have heard many really good things about that game.
And I never
haven't
played.
played
Oh yeah, sorry.
But you haven't either?
Well, yeah, I never played any of the other Personas, and everyone's like, Persona 5 is really good. And I was like, well, that's what they said about every Persona up to this point. And so I never felt like putting like 100 hours into a game, knowing that I
Yeah.
would be putting 100 hours into a game. But then it's just, I mean, I knew I was going to get it. I had a gift card, and I was like, oh, I'll get Persona 5 at the GameStop. And then literally everyone in the GameStop like stopped what they were doing. They're like, you got to get this game, man. You got to get it. And I was like, all right, I'll get the game. They're like, you're going to love the
Alright,
game, man.
yeah.
And so I was like, all right, guys, cool. And so I got it, and it's so good. Soundtrack's amazing. It's got like it's like one of the few not open world games. There's like actual story and consequences, and I feel like I can balance his life way better than I can balance mine. But then you're like, oh, do I do homework or do I hang out with Ryuji? It's like it's such a hard choice. And it like all these things affect the game in some way or another, and so it's just so cool. And then the way that they tell the story is also really neat as well, because it's kind of done in a series of flashbacks. But yeah, it is so it just
cool.
it looks amazing. The bosses are insane. It reminds me of Catherine a lot because it's the same studio. It's Atlas. And they just make unapologetically M games, which is like really cool. Especially I feel like in today. And it's just
They're actually re-releasing Catherine as well. Did you know?
well, I maybe get it. I mean, Catherine is so good.
Like,
That would
they're
have
a-
been.
They're also like adding to it. Like they're adding
Oh, yeah.
more stuff. Like they're adding a third character that you can romance, or like a third female person that adds more to the story.
Is
I
it
mean,
Catherine, but like with like a silent Q in front of it?
I don't know.
Uh,
I don't know much about it really.
But yes, Persona 5 is amazing. And I think the best description of it was by my girlfriend Laura. And I think Dave was texting Laura, and Dave's like, "What's Josh doing?" And she's like, "Oh, he's hanging out in the attic with the talking cat for a long time." And he's like, "Oh, he's playing Persona 5."
okay, he's playing for
And
Sony.
so I was like, "Yeah, that's a really good description of the game." Sadly, but it's so much.
Nice.
It's as big as the game is, and as much as you can do, it really boils down to you talking to a cat in an attic, and that is what I've spent the majority of that game doing. But it's so good. I
You'll never
really
see it coming.
yeah. So
Nice.
that's my number one of 2017.
Nice. That's a game that if I had the time, I'm gonna say if I had the time, that's cop out, but I am very interested in that game because I do like the RPG parts of that and the anime and everything, and I think I would really enjoy the game if I started playing it. I just know that I wouldn't play anything else for a long time, and then I'd probably get like 60% of the way through the game and then stop.
Yeah, and that's usually how
That's-
it works
that's,
with
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
That's about right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
It-
what was your number one? Well, wait, we have to guess Marshall's number one.
Right, but Marshall already
Ooh.
said he kind of already like told us.
Technically, I can get away with it on a technicality.
Oh, a
because
DLC was released for
Ooh.
Warframe.
It's the Warframe Plains of Eidolon expansion.
Oh,
like,
nice.
Technically, that's allowed. That's a Warframe.
Alright, that's allowed,
Warframe that
alright.
we allowed
The
that
reason
with
being-
Darkest Dungeon. So.
Debated.
Oh
the
yeah.
reason being that was-
Jebaited.
Jebaited super hard. I love Jebaited so good. The reason why that's kind of a big deal for Warframe, that expansion, was because it introduced straight up a 4 kilometer square open world section on Earth in that game. And the entire game is based on randomized tile sets that you just go through. And so for them to do that is kind of magic to me. Like, I didn't think that the engine that they were using could do that. It had a little bit of a rocky start at first, but then they ironed everything out, and it's just been a blast. I have sunk so many hours into that game now because of it. And it sounds like with the next expansion, the next major story beat that they're going to do, which will be the next major big patch that they're also going to do, might introduce something called Umbra Warframes, which are like I don't even know what the hell they are really story wise. They may be
Umbra
like pre.
Witches from
Yeah, that's
Bayonetta.
what I was thinking. Like it's a
You
Bayonetta.
know, they may be like pre progenitor version of Warframes. Like I don't know what they are. That may be sentient, free of that. They're suits that can just do whatever. Like I don't know. Um, all we know is some stuff from a China screenshot because they had a weird patch or something of Excalibur, who's basically the main poster boy in the I think it's Umbra or Umbral. I don't know. Can't remember like that version of it. But it's super interesting. Like it's what they're doing with it. Like is fantastic, and you don't know that until you actually put the time and effort into the game to get to these parts of the story, which I think is really interesting that they do that. They don't front load you in the beginning of the free to play experience to do that. So, yeah, that's what I put pretty much most of my time this year into Warframe. So, yeah.
All right.
All right.
Hello.
Technicalities.
Bye. Hoi.
Oh, hello. Yeah,
Oh,
we already talked about. How did you know we talked about it already?
Well, it's
Oh.
because
you said
let's talk
Umbra.
about Umbra. Well,
Oh yeah, we
that was for Warframe. Sorry, dude. We were
but for
talking about
me,
Bayonetta
actually,
earlier.
we were talking about Vanquish and Bayonetta. That was my number 5.
It's true.
But
It's true.
so Caleb, it's up
So
to you. I'm
my
going to
number
tell
one-
you what it is. It was Hollow Knight.
Yeah. Marshall,
Was it Hollow Knight?
is that also your guess?
He can't copy my guess. Don't copy my guess.
That's not
Copy
fair.
my guess.
I said Hollow Knight first.
He did.
You had no idea. You were like Hollow Knight, and then
You
like you
probably-
got like oh, and like that's a
I'm trying
game.
to I'm trying to think what else.
Yeah.
It's not Destiny.
Josh is right.
2.
That's
I know
absolutely-
because I know Caleb more than
I
you
have
do.
no idea. Is it Hollow
Yeah.
Knight?
It is Hollow. Of course
Yeah.
it is. I know
Okay,
Caleb.
That's what I thought. I'm like, there's no way it's not.
Yeah.
Did you beat
Yeah.
it?
Hollow Knight is absolutely my number one game of 2017. And it's if you like even the concept of a Metroidvania game or an action like an
Yeah, it is.
exploration platformer, you absolutely need to play Hollow Knight. It's so good. The art style is just amazing. The music is so atmospheric and really draws you in, and it just captivates this feeling of I'm alone and I don't really have a goal, but I'm exploring because I want to. Like you're not ever going anywhere because the game says, "Hey, you should go over to this place and do this thing because I don't know, you should do it. It sounds like a good idea." You're just like you're literally just
Yeah.
exploring. And I have not played a game in general, but especially a 2D action adventure game that really makes me want to explore as much as Hollow Knight does, and makes you feel alone and afraid when you're not near a save point because you can get really far away from the benches and save points and you're like, shit, I want to keep exploring, but I don't have a lot of resources and I want to save and I want to do like some of the things. And because it has a little bit of that Dark Souls where the currency that you're carrying on you when you die, you drop it right there. You are motivated to return to town so you can buy some things and spend some of those resources, but you also just want to keep going because you really need to know what's around the corner. And the level divides just blend into each other so well. I can't recommend the game enough. And it's and the other surprising thing about it is it was an indie title, but is huge. The map is so big, and I discovered several areas and I was like, okay, so I must have found the edge of the map. And then I just kept going and it's like, wait, there's more. And it felt like there was always one more area afterwards. So it was surprising and delightful on every level. And they've added more to it. They've been free DLCs afterwards, and it's can't recommend it enough.
Sorry to interrupt, but my girlfriend is being mauled to death by my puppy. And by being mauled, I mean like the puppy is literally on top of her, like just like giving her all the kisses and literally does not want to stop.
Sounds like the puppy's
mean-
trying to have more puppies.
Nope, can't do that anymore. We got her spayed.
That's what puppies do.
That's right.
But one last thing on Hollow Knight, if you're interested in seeing what the game is and what's possible with the game, but don't want to spoil it all the way, I highly recommend the speed run that just concluded at AGDQ 2017. Mickley3 did a speed run of any percent for Hollow Knight, and he only beats like 5 bosses, and he does beat the one version of the final boss, so there's some of that kind of spoilery stuff, but literally he beats 5 bosses in a game with 30 plus bosses, so you don't see very much of the game, but you get a good feel for how much versatility you have and like all the things that are possible, and
That's pretty
is
cool.
a
And
fantastic speed run.
I think if you want a better view of the game, you watch Caleb's video where he recommends Hollow Knight.
You can watch my recommendation video for sure,
Yes.
but
Yes, you should definitely.
All right, time for my bottom 3, and I'm just gonna list my
I
3
only
right
got
away.
2.
That's fine.
All right.
Yeah, we're not gonna go, and then I'm going to kind of give like brief reasons for it, because we're ending at 8, so everyone here can watch The Bachelor. So my third least favorite game of the year, and the order is kind of funny because 3 and 2 are in their places for reasons I'll say, and the number 1 was just because I hated it the most. But number 3 is Friday the 13th, and we never got
I was gonna put that on my
we never got to play it, which is why. But the thing is, we were able to return it. So the reason it's
Does it really count
well,
then?
despite it sucking so bad, it's number 3 because it used the least of my time.
True.
Now number 2 for me is Destiny 2.
I knew it was
even play it.
What? I didn't play it. Are you kidding me? I'm
you played it.
305. I just didn't get the last of the Osiris, whatever
He,
bullcrap.
he didn't get the DLC,
I
but
don't
yeah, he
even
played it.
remember him getting it.
Oh my god, I got it the same day
Oh,
we all
that's
did.
right. Okay, no.
played it.
I'm stupid.
We
Okay.
played
I just-
together.
He beat the raid
Yeah.
before you did.
Yeah.
That's true. I didn't even beat the raid. Yeah.
I unlocked all the classes. I
Yeah.
I put and it seemed like such a waste of time now. By the end I was playing the game and I just felt numb all over, like I didn't care about anything. And it's number 2 on my list because I did put a ton of hours into it, so I feel like I got the $60 worth of the game. And my number 1 least favorite game of 2017 is the least favorite because I didn't put a ton of hours into it and I still got nothing from it, and it is For Honor.
Yep, there it is.
Yep.
I was waiting for it.
Yep, you know,
That's-
yep, that's so
That's-
those were
Yep.
those are my 3 least favorite games. Oh, Caleb's getting some action.
Sorry.
Okay, least favorite game
I-
was Oh, did you hear all that?
Yeah, I heard
Oh,
yours.
oh, great. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Number
So-
3 was Friday the 13th. Number 2 is Destiny 2. And number 1 was For Honor.
For Honor. Yep, it was For Honor. So, Marsh, what are your top 3/2 least favorite games of 2017?
Destiny 2, which I literally just finished because I wanted to see how long it would take. All of the Infinite Forest weapons that you can get, which if you get them all, you get the exotic shell, ghost shell for it.
Yeah, you got it. You
And-
sent us a screenshot.
Yes, I got it. And I felt dirty afterwards. And I'm like, I'm done with this. I don't need to do this anymore. And I've stopped. I have no interest in going back to play that game. Don't care about the raid lair. Nope, not at all. Zero zip nada. And number 1 is definitely For Honor because I keep going back to play it to see if it's been improved. And it's still very much not there yet.
To me, For Honor for you is more like it's a
It's-
heartbreaker, not just like a
it is a-
disappointment. Like it
no,
actually
it is a
hurts your core.
heart-
Yeah.
It is a heartbreaker considering I had been playing it since the closed technical test
Yeah.
months after they had revealed it for E3, before the closed beta, like when there was just the Warden and then the Oni, which they changed to the Orochi name-wise. I am just so bummed at that game of what it could have been, and I think a lot of it comes down to I don't think the devs know what they got themselves into, because I don't think the devs realized that the people who were going to play it were actually good at video games. And a lot of it comes down to like there's balancing issues because being defensive in that game is king, which doesn't make sense for a fighting game. Like if you can just not attack, you win, which doesn't make sense. And there's just they have a defensive meta patch that they've been trying to release forever now, and it's coming up on the 1 year anniversary of the game.
Wow.
And considering, yeah, that's going to happen in about a month and 5 days. I think it came out on
Yeah,
the 13th.
that's
No, it
crazy
came out
to
on the
think
14th.
about.
It came out on Valentine's. And they're trying to
Yeah,
do
it was
dedicated
Valentine's Day.
servers. Supposedly, that may happen in the next month or 2 or 3. I don't know. But I don't know if that's going to be enough because fundamentally, I think that game is flawed, which it sucks. It really, really sucks because it's one of the only kind of games there is like that out there.
Yeah.
And that's it.
All right, Caleb, you're up.
Well, I mean, I don't have anything different to say about For Honor. That's absolutely my least favorite. I was just so
Yep.
disappointed in that one.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm gonna say that this is one of my bottom games, but not because it is bad. It's certainly not anywhere near as bad as For Honor and what we've talked about. But it's probably my hello, Bunny Boy. I'm mentioning it only because I didn't play that many other games that came out in 2017, and this one was probably the most disappointing two that I can say on that scale. That were the just not as good as I wanted them to be, and for different reasons. Strafe is the first one.
Oh, right, yeah.
Strafe was good, but I wanted it to be so much more, and it had so much more potential. And to be fair, they have done a lot of updates and patches, and I believe have improved on it a lot. But the core design of it just wasn't quite what I thought it was going to be. So I was pretty disappointed with how Strafe turned out. Again, that's not entirely fair because I haven't played all of the new updates, but it was fully released when it came out, so it's not like I played it in alpha and didn't like it. The game was their full release product. So Vanilla Strafe was pretty disappointing. Now they have Millennium Edition, so I'll have to check that one out and see if it stands up. The other game that I played that I was just disappointed by was Pyre.
Really?
It's from Supergiant Studios, and I absolutely love Supergiant Studios. Bastion and Transistor are two of my favorite games of all time. Probably Bastion more than Transistor, but Transistor is
Bastion's so good.
And the thing about Pyre is it's not a bad game by any right. The thing that I guess I didn't realize, and I would imagine most people don't realize, is that it's so much more of a choose your own adventure kind of book game than it is an actual game.
Yeah.
There's only one like one thing that you do that's actual gameplay, and you do that thing like 15, 20 different times, and you can have different teams. So you have this 3v3 like
sports ball,
basketball, sports ball. This 3v3 sports ball thing, and you can build different teams, and the team combinations are interesting and all of that. But it wasn't super interesting because you can only ever control one person at a time. So even though you can have like 3 different team comps and you can do things like that, most of the time you can get by with just picking your favorite character or the one that you're like the best with and running around and doing everything with that one character and beating the game. Obviously, that's not how it's supposed to be done, but it can be done. And the fact that you aren't really ever forced into learning what all of the team mechanics are takes away from it some, and the fact that there isn't anything else to it. Everything else in the game is just reading what the characters have, and the story is good. So it's not this is not a bad game. I just was disappointed that there wasn't more there like there was in Bastion and Transistor. Those games had so much replay value, and I didn't get that when I ended up beating Pyre. I was just left a little disappointed.
Yeah.
But still a good game. Definitely worth getting on sale.
You're not gonna put Destiny on your disappointments?
I mean, it's a solid shooter. It's a solid
shooter. It's just everything around it is kind of
right. But we'll see.
I don't have anything new to say about Destiny, and I didn't hate it as much as you guys did. And I have stopped cold turkey for the last couple of months, but I did with Destiny 1 as well. and then I got back into it and I loved it. And I'm gonna do the same thing with Destiny 2.
I wish I waited
Um,
till the Taken King for Destiny 2 came out because that was a great time to come in.
Yes, it very
Oh,
much
yeah,
was.
for
That's
sure.
when we all came back into it. After I straight up.
So
caught-
I mean,
caught
I'm
Tournament
gonna
for
do the same
D1,
thing with
yeah.
Destiny 2, and I just don't have anything else really to say about it. So I figured I'd list.
That makes it. Pyre was
Yeah.
that was that was good. That was good.
I will say before we wrap up for Destiny 2, I believe they have a like an announcement or something that they're going to be doing on this Thursday.
I don't
about,
care. I'm
like,
not playing it.
the road ahead. So like
Yeah.
again, a lot of people really want to get rid of Eververse. I'm
Yeah,
one of
it's
those
was
people.
it somebody
It's
said that
awful.
it's the lowest concurrent players on Destiny that they've ever had, and that includes like the weird lull that they had in vanilla. So it's like
Yeah.
Yeah.
so they got to do something.
Eververse has like over
Eververse is.
half of
But,
the
I mean, that's a whole
entire
nother
gear
podcast. But
selection in it.
Yeah.
Eververse is not the problem.
I don't think it is. I
Yeah.
absolutely don't think that's a problem.
Yeah.
But we got to wait
And I
for
think
Corey
a
to
lot
talk
of
about
the things
D2.
that have
Yeah.
become like
Yeah,
flamed
there's-
in the community
Yeah.
are not really the issues that are going on. But that is way off topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
well,
And
we
that
should
is-
end it now.
That's
yes.
right. That's 2017, everyone. That was our best and
Yes,
worst.
2017.
Thank you guys for who stuck around. Enjoy AGDQ. It's going on right now, and don't forget to
Yes.
like and subscribe. Bye, everyone.
Later.
Bye.